Confessions are supposed to bring closure. They are supposed to end uncertainty. But in Insert City, one confession did the opposite. On a rainy night in March, a man walked into a police station and admitted responsibility for a murder that had gone unsolved for years. Investigators expected relief. They did not expect confusion, contradiction, and a trail of unanswered questions. This is the story of a confession that failed to solve the case, and a mystery that remains unresolved. The case began in 2010, when 34-year-old Margaret Hill was found dead in her apartment. She lived alone in a quiet neighborhood. Friends described her as cautious, polite, and unassuming. No enemies, no arguments, no known disputes. Her body was discovered after neighbors reported a foul odor coming from her apartment. Authorities arrived to find signs of a violent struggle. The case went cold. Despite months of investigation, no suspects emerged, and forensic evidence was limited. Partial fingerprints, faint DNA, but nothing conclusively linking anyone to the crime. Fast forward to March 2017. A man named Derek Lawson voluntarily appeared at the local police station. He claimed responsibility for Margaret Hill's death. He described details of the crime that only someone close to the investigation would know, or so it seemed. Detectives were initially hopeful. Could this finally bring closure to Margaret's family after 7 years? But as they delved deeper, discrepancies began to emerge. Derek's story didn't fully align with the physical evidence. He claimed he entered the apartment through the front door, but forensic analysis suggested forced entry from the balcony. He said he disposed of the murder weapon in a nearby river, yet extensive searches had never recovered it. And perhaps, most troubling, he appeared to have imperfect knowledge of the victim's timeline, including activities documented by neighbors and surveillance footage. Detectives began to question the confession. Could he have learned details from media reports? Was he seeking attention, notoriety, or trying to manipulate the system? Did mental health issues affect his account? A team of behavioral analysts interviewed him extensively. While he displayed confidence in parts of his story, he contradicted himself on critical details. The time of the struggle, the victim's last phone calls, and even the layout of the apartment. Investigators attempted to corroborate his statements with forensic evidence. Fingerprints in the apartment did not match him. DNA was inconclusive. Surveillance cameras did not capture him on the night in question. Every attempt to validate the confession produced more confusion than clarity. Margaret Hill's family, desperate for answers, initially hoped that this confession would finally bring justice. But hope turned into frustration. They struggled with the reality that the confession might not be genuine. Friends and family were forced to relive the trauma, wondering whether the truth would ever be known. Even after interviews, polygraph tests, and extensive investigation, authorities could not confirm Derek Lawson's involvement. It was like watching someone reopen a wound that had begun to heal, a detective later reflected. Investigators considered several scenarios. False confession. Derek Lawson could have confessed to a crime he did not commit, either for attention or due to mental instability. Partial truth. He may have been involved in some way, but not fully responsible. Perhaps he had knowledge of the crime through others. Genuine confession. With errors. Could memory errors, stress, or psychological factors have caused him to misreport critical details? Every explanation had flaws. Every theory left investigators unsatisfied. And every day that passed without confirmation meant that justice for Margaret Hill remained out of reach. Years later, the case is still technically open, but unresolved. Derek Lawson was never charged. The murder weapon remains missing. And Margaret Hill's family still waits for definitive answers. Why did he confess if he wasn't the killer? Could he have truly been responsible, but failed to recall key details? And most haunting of all, will the real culprit ever be caught? The confession promised closure, but instead it delivered more mystery, more questions, and a chilling reminder that sometimes, even when someone admits the crime, the truth remains elusive.